Today we will discuss about the digital measurement of time. The main principle of operation lies with two reference points. With respect to that, we are going to measure the time. For example, if you start with a 0 there on the waveform, you will reach the positive peak, then come down. Once again, you reach the 0, that is a half cycle. Then you will enter into the negative half cycle, negative peak. Then once again, go back to the 0. Then once again, positive peak is about to start. Means we are starting with a 0. We are starting with a 0, covering positive part, again going 0 and covering negative part and going back to the 0. So that reference point, those two reference point we have to consider here in order to measure the time here. Like that, if you consider any reference point, not only 0, any reference point you can consider on the waveform. A similar point you have to wait until you get it on the waveform. So these 2 points will give us the measurement of the time. So hope you may be knowing this one, theoretically how we can learn to measure the time period. So practically also we are adopting the same principle here. We need two reference points. One is a start input, we can call here, you can see here. One is a start input is required. Another one is a stop input signal is required. So start input signal will tell you from where your input signal waveform time period is supposed to start measuring. It is passed through the attenuator. If it is required, we can attenuate it if it is very large in amplitude. Or if it is very small in amplitude, if it is required, we can amplify it. So that's why this block will contain attenuator and amplifier. Next, its optimal output of this block will be applied as input to the Schmitt trigger. Schmitt trigger, its only duty is to convert input sinusoidal waveform into train of pulses. Now here, at the output of the Schmitt trigger, this is the, you can take it, say it as a start here, will be getting train of pulses. Stop here will be getting the train of pulses from where once will get the stop pulse, stop point. Okay. So the selection of the time period. So what time period we want to measure? So that will be selected. The time-based selector design will be done with the help of 1 megahertz crystal oscillator. Its output we are getting 1 megahertz sinusoidal waveform. Then it will be applied as input to the Schmitt trigger. Then Schmitt trigger will convert sinusoidal waveform into train of pulses. So whether it is sinusoidal or train of pulses, the frequency will be still remaining 1 megahertz only. Are you getting this point? Next, suppose if you connect at this point, then you are telling to the DTM that you want to measure 1 microsecond range. 1 microsecond range, because reciprocal of 1 megahertz is 1 microsecond. That point is coming here, that are not shown here. But I have shown here. So you are going to divide once megahertz by 10, again second time by 10, and third time by 10. So what you are getting? 1 megahertz, that is 10 to the power 6 divided by 10 to the power 3, means 10 to the power 3 hertz you are telling DTM to measure. Means you are going to measure the time period in 1 kilohertz range. Understanding? Or reciprocal of that, if you take 1 millisecond, it cannot measure less than 1 millisecond. That's what you are telling it to the DTM. Okay. So this is the time scale selection you are getting from this time-based selector circuit. So two inputs already we got. Start pulse. Start pulse ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಅವಾಗ gate control flip flop ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೈತಿ. So here already you selected the time scale, ಇದು 1 ಆಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ. So here already you start getting the pulses once you get the start pulse from the gate control flip flop. Then main gate, this is the main gate. So once it will get all the inputs 1, both the inputs 1, both the inputs 1. Oh, Wait a minute. Okay. I think it is disconnected in the middle. I will let me repeat. So once this is the main gate, guys. Hello, this is the main gate. So once it will get the train of pulses at this point and time-based selection at this point, both the inputs are high, and main gate will start sending these train of pulses to the decimal counter to be counted. Only when counting is finished, then it will be connected to display. Until that, it will not be connected to the display. It will be latched temporarily. Remember that one. Now, how long these pulses will be allowed to the decimal counter? As long as you will get the stop pulse. That's all. Once you get the stop pulse, gate control flip-flop will no longer generate its output 1. It will become 0. Then it will be, again it is high there. So if it is 0 and this one is 1, means this is the main gate will generate no any pulses, means there is 0 output. No more pulses will be applied to the decimal counter. Then counter will start counting, and then it will be latch will be connected to the display unit to display how many pulses are counted. And those number of pulses are directly proportional to the time period measured for the waveform between these two start and stop reference points. Is it clear, guys? Can anyone respond me? You can also refer to the notes later. You can easily understand it. Now, next, let us see. This is the diagram I have drawn in the notes, similar diagram. Now, let us see. There is some problem with this DTM. Suppose if I want my DTM to measure 16.6673 millisecond. Okay. So that scale probably, of course, not possible. Let us assume that that scale is there for the time being. And if you take the reciprocal of this one, so you will get 59.9977 Hertz. That is not equal to 60 Hertz actually. If you take the difference of these two, you will get some error. Understand? Means we need to have more number of significant figures here. Means we need to have more number of digits to be displayed after decimal point on our DTM display. Or it should be that much accuracy. It should have that much of precision. So this kind of error is there. So it is unable to, means it is able to measure 60 Hertz frequency or 16.6673 millisecond. I rounded it off. But some error will be there. So what is happening is why we are not reaching 60? Why we are stopping at 59.9977 only? It means that, so if you go back and see the block diagram, so here you can see, we are stopping the sending these train of pulses to the decimal counter in advance. Well, in advance, before getting the stop pulse. So means we are getting the stop pulse in advance. What if we delay this stop signal? So that's what we are doing here. We are increasing, you can see here, by using decade counters here. Simply what we will do, we will let the same signal to transverse through many decade counters, passing through many decade counters, that is known as a multiple period trigger. Then it will be coming as input to the gate control flip-flop with some delay. With some delay, you can see here, you can easily see. With some delay, we are making it to reach to the gate control flip-flop, stop signal. Start signal is going as it is, but stop signal we are making it to delay. Understanding this one? With this delay, we are letting all those pulses what we left out in the previous system, that can be recovered. Those pulses also will be giving some more time so that they can also be sent to the decimal counter and will be counted. And now our counter will show exactly 60 but not 59.997. This is known as a multiple period because it is traveling through multiple periods there. Multiple period average mode operation or technique. Hope this point is clear. This is very important point, guys. I want you to understand it. I want to pause here and please let me respond whether you cleared this point MPAM technique or not. Yes. Am I audible there or not? Hello, anybody can respond? All you people are sleeping. Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible.
Okay, next one. Let me continue. How to measure? Now, so far you have seen how to measure the frequency and how to measure the time period. Now, let us see how to measure more than one frequency and more than one time. So, let us assume we want to measure the ratio of low frequency and high frequency as it has been shown here. What we'll do? Here we got one time based switch is there as it is visible here. Okay. So here it is going to select high frequency or line signal frequency. So high frequency signal again made to pass through attenuator and preamplifier. It is called preamplifier because it is the first amplifier that it is passing through. That's what is known as a preamplifier. So this high frequency signal F2 is a frequency trigger, means the Smith trigger will be there, is acting like a gate pulse. Whereas low frequency signal again through some delay it is coming here, MPM technique we are adopting. Through some delay it is coming here as another gate signal. Means F2 is coming here at the top and F1 low frequency is coming at the bottom, second input. Means that, so we have to pass the number of pulses through this gate, main gate, for the entire period of low frequency. Because low frequency means it has got the high period width. So in this low frequency means that's why it has been given as the second input. For the entire second input duration width, there is a low frequency width, it is very large. All high frequency width waveforms will be allowed to pass through this. Means idea is very simple. Simply we are trying to find out or counting the number of high frequencies which are passing through this one low frequency. That is going to give us the actual measurement of higher to lower frequency ratio or vice versa. That's all. So description is there again, you can refer to the notes. So this is the diagram here I just have shown. So here the main switch is there. From the time based selector you are going to select high frequency signal. It is passed through the attenuator and preamplifier. Then frequency trigger is applied as the counting signal here. High frequency signal here you can see it is acting like a counting signal. And low frequency signal is coming with some delay to the gate signal. Okay. Then it will be applied here as a gate signal. Means for the entire time period duration of this low frequency signal, how many high frequency signals will be transmitted, will be counted and displayed. That is a ratio of F1 to F2 or F2 to F1 as usual. Next one, suppose if you combine all these things, single frequency if you want to measure, you can measure. Single period if you want to measure, you can measure. Time interval if you want to measure, you can measure. Ratio of frequencies or times if you want to measure, you can. This is the time based selector. Like that, the same, the design of time based selector will be remaining same using crystal oscillator and Smith trigger and decade counters. So here logical control circuitry is there, that is acting according to the option selected by the time based selector. And here as usual we are getting two reference points, 1 and 2. Two reference points we are getting 1 and 2. Then again with the gate control flip-flop we are going to pass the number of pulses between these two reference points which are to be counted and displayed. That's all. So far we have discussed about DFM, DTM, ratio of frequencies to measure, MPM technique and universal counter. In all these digital devices, some main operating key point is that key point is that simply we are taking two reference points, and letting the pulses to pass through this spinning it between those two reference points, which are to be counted and displayed. That's all. So is it clear up to this one? So next one that we have left out for the discussion of this is the function generator. Function generator is a device which produces different types or shapes of waveforms with adjustable frequencies, which is their frequencies ranging from hertz to kilohertz with the common output waveforms. Common output waveform means, I think you might have seen in laboratories that signal generators will be there. Function generator, those are function generators itself. So signal generators are going to provide you with the sinusoidal waveform, square wave waveform, sawtooth waveform, like that, with the variable frequencies. So their use is that normally you are going to study where you need some of the input when you are going to study the Cat6 of diode, transistor, or etc. You want to give some kind of a sinusoidal input waveform, so square waveform. Normally, for example, the square waveform you need to test the linearity of the amplifier or gain characteristics to study the gain characteristics of the amplifier. So this square waveform is also continuously required to generate the sawtooth waveform to drive the horizontal deflection plate in here. So like that, these function generators are quite useful in most of the electronic devices or applications. So this is the typical block diagram to how the function generator is going to operate. Details are there in the notes, you can refer it to later, already it has been uploaded. So here you can see we have frequency control network with external frequency control ranging from 0.01 Hertz to around 100 kilohertz. So this frequency control is connected or given as input to two current sources here. Upper constant current source, lower constant current source. So the main blocks of this function generator are current sources and integrator. Integrator, what it is doing, you can see here, its output through voltage comparator multivibrator connected fed back to the current sources. Means, so suppose if the upper constant current source will start sending the current through the integrator, it will start charging the current will start rising, and its slope is decided by the frequency input, what you are giving. Understanding this one? Are you getting this one? Okay. So at what rate the voltage is increasing through the capacitor, its slope is decided by the frequency, what input frequency is given to this upper constant current source. Once it will reach the upper threshold, then comparator multivibrator will cut off the integrator input, will tell the integrator input, now you disconnect upper constant current source, now you will connect it to lower constant current source. Now lower constant current source will start sending negative current. Because of that, we start decreasing the current through the C. Again, its slope is decided by the input frequency. That has been fed back. So how the integrator is going to know with the help of this multivibrator is feeding back now. So that it is sending the information how the slope is. Based on the slope, it is telling the integrator or constant current sources whether to increase or decrease the current in order to maintain the correct slope to optimally increase or decrease the voltage of the integrator. So normally the integrator output is going to give us the sawtooth waveform. Once if you pass it through the output amplifier, so here through the multivibrator, here you will be getting the square waveform. Or if you same sawtooth waveform pass it through, that is the output of integrator, through the resistance diode shaping circuit. So this will convert sawtooth to sinusoidal waveform. Then with the help of proper output amplifier switching circuitry, we are able to get correct sinusoidal waveform. So this is function generator Basically, the integrator is going to give us directly the sawtooth waveform. And once if we to pass it through the switching output amplifier, will give us square waveform. And same sawtooth waveform, that is output of integrator, will if you pass it through the diode shaping circuit, will give us the sinusoidal waveform of the desired input frequency. So this input frequency is going to decide the slope of rising or falling currents. That is going to give us different shape of the waveforms. If you want, you can have the sinusoidal or sawtooth or square. Each waveform we can see they got their different shapes decided by the slope here. That is decided by the input frequency. Okay, hope you understood this one. We'll stop today here.